Hiking 4 miles through the woods can be tough at times, but doing it after being shot 5 times, that's just amazing. This is precisely what Claudia Brenner did on May 13th, 1988, when her and her girlfriend Rebecca Wright were shot while camping. This is their story. Hello, I'm Sean. If you're new here, then welcome to my page. If you're returning, then it's great to see you again. Twice a week, I research a true crime that I find interesting to tell you about. I want to make sure that the victims are remembered because there are a lot of victims. If you're not subscribed, please do so. It's free. I appreciate each and every one of you and love to interact with my viewers. I do have memberships, which it's down in the description. If you want to support me in other ways, you can always do a super chat or buy me a coffee. If you have any ideas for any future crimes, please feel free to leave me a message. And I want to address the elephant in the room. I got new glasses, and it seems like no matter where I look, I'm getting a glare. And I really apologize for that. It is Pride Month, so I am continuing with a story about an LGBTQ member. So, that all being said, on with today's true crime. Rebecca Wright was 29 and Claudia Brenner was 32. They met in 1986 while being students at Virginia Tech and began dating in 1987. Rebecca was working on her master's degree in business administration while Claudia was an architect student. Rebecca was of Iranian Puerto Rican heritage and Claudia was Jewish. So just a little bit of a backstory on them. In May of 1988, the pair went to Pennsylvania Michoud State Forest to do some hiking and camping. And I'm hoping that I pronounced the state forest name correct. It's French, and they parked their car at a creepy sounding name. It was Dead Woman Hollow. They hiked to where they'd be setting up their camp near Birch Run Shelter. They pitched a tent a little ways away from the shelter to have some more privacy. That night, they fell asleep in each other's arms. The next morning, they went out into the brisk morning air wearing what they went to bed in. Nothing. Rebecca went to use the outhouse near the shelter, and she was only wearing her sneakers. Once there, she was startled by a man. Now, on some accounts, they were saying that he was also naked, standing there with an erection. Other accounts said that he was just there. I don't know. But they all agreed that he did ask her for a cigarette. Well, no, because she's completely naked. Where would she hide the cigarettes at, dude? I mean, seriously. She said that she didn't have one and quickly returned to Claudia. They talked and decided to move to a different campsite. They packed up and hiked away. When they were leaving, they saw the man and they decided to be friendly, and they're like, "See you later," trying to make sure he didn't think that they were leaving on his account. They hiked another mile or so when they came to an intersection with the Rocky Knob Loop Trail and wanted to consult their map. While they're looking at the map, the man came up from behind them. "Lost already?" he said. Claudia said, No. Are you?" And he's like, "No." They continued to walk in different directions. He said that he was going to his vehicle because he had to go to work, and they were trying to go the opposite direction that he was walking. They were startled, though, because this time he was carrying a rifle with him. They followed the trail for another 2 miles. While along the trail, they found a footpath that led to a secluded clearing near a stream. The whole time they're walking, they kept looking back behind them, and the man was not following them anymore, so they felt secure on what they were doing. They ate, they relaxed, they laid a tarp down, and they didn't even put up their tent. They just laid down on the ground and started getting intimate. And that's when the terror began. The following is taken roughly from Claudia's own testimony of the events. So this is, in my own words, but what she testified as. The first bullet hit Claudia in the arm. Blood splattered the green tarp that they were laying on, and although it was only a second went by, it felt like an eternity. And that's when the second bullet struck her in the neck. She let out a scream. Then the third bullet pierced the other side of her neck. She knew that she was in danger, but it was happening so fast. The fourth bullet hit her in the face. It shattered teeth and damaged her jaw. Rebecca told her to get down to the ground, but that didn't help. The fifth bullet hit Claudia on the top of the head. Rebecca saw their vulnerability, so she told her to go hide behind the tree. The sixth bullet hit Rebecca in the back of the head as she ran for the tree. The seventh bullet hit Rebecca in the back. And an eighth bullet was fired, but it missed both women. Whoever was shooting was taking kill shots, neck, head, back. The shooter thought that they were probably both dead. If not, he wouldn't have left 25 bullets laying on the ground for the police to find later. So after the person shot them, he left them for dead. But they were not dead. Although Claudia was shot more, she was in a better condition than Rebecca. She knew that she needed to get help, and she looked for a sleeping bag and wrapped Rebecca up. Luckily, the shot to her head was just like a graze, so it didn't go into her brain or anything like that. And then she took a towel and wrapped that around her neck to try to stop the blood that was coming from her neck. Yeah, I can't imagine what she was going through at that time. Shot twice in the neck, in the face, in the top of the head. And she was sitting there caring for Rebecca, trying to help Rebecca because Rebecca was in really bad shape. Claudia had to force herself to leave Rebecca's side to go look for help because she knew if she didn't, they were both going to die. So she walked and she ran into the forest looking for a road. She was following the map to the nearest road, and she never stopped for nearly 4 miles through rough terrain. It took several hours for her to find this road. Ridge Road to Shippenberg Road. It was dark now. She saw a car coming, tried to flag him down with her flashlight, but they just kept on driving. Another car came, and she stood in the middle of the road to get them to stop. It was a couple of teenagers, and she told them that she needed help. They obliged and took her to the police station. I wonder what went through these kids' head when some lady is standing there. If it took a couple hours, that towel had to have been sopping full of blood, and her face mangled from the shot. It had to have been a horrific sight no matter what. So it's amazing that these children or teenagers, picked her up and actually stopped, and they were that's just amazing. So they obliged and took her to the police. She told them what happened, and the sheriff, she just wanted to make sure that the sheriff knew all the details just in case she didn't make it. It took 15 minutes to get to the police station, and she told them what happened and was refusing medical help till she knew that they sent help for Rebecca. Once they did, she was airlifted to Hershey Medical Center. There were certain parts that she left out because, it was 1988. Gay lovemaking was still illegal in over half of America. And at this time, she didn't realize that Pennsylvania was not one of these states, but she thought that if the rescuers thought they were looking for a lesbian, it'd be less important to them. So she left their relationship out of the story. Plus, Rebecca was not out to her parents yet, so she was trying to protect Rebecca. State police descended on the camp area and searched for Rebecca. They found her at 11:40 p.m. She was deceased at the time. They had to secure the scene because it was so dark they couldn't do any of their investigation or anything like that. So they had to secure the scene until morning to investigate. They set up shifts for, officers to be around to watch over Rebecca's body because they couldn't even move her body, which is just saddening. I don't know. In the morning, the police recovered evidence from the campsite. 82 feet from where the women were was all the evidence that they really needed. They found 25 rounds of ammo, a blue knit cap, 8 spent shells from a .22 caliber rifle, 2 cigarette lighters, a pair of sunglasses, and a black hand-folded knife. Claudia described what the man looked like that she saw on the trail. He was 6 foot, white man wearing gray sweatpants with a maroon stripe down each leg. The information was released to the press and public with hopes to locate the killer. They also offered a $1,000 reward for any information. A number of tips were called in. They found out that the person's name was Stephen Roy Carr, but where was he? They had hoped to find out soon. He lived out in the wooded area, sometimes for weeks at a time. So he was kind of a mountain man, hermit type of thing. So it was just, they were having trouble trying to figure out how they're going to find him. It took 10 days to find out where he was hiding, and he thought where he was hiding was safe. He was hiding with the Mennonites, Chester and Esther Weaver. They didn't watch TV, nor did they listen to the news in any way, so they had no idea that this guy that wandered onto their farm, wanting to help out, be a farmhand for a while, they had no idea that he was being wanted by the police. He was just wanting to get some room and board for a while, and they obliged him. But one of the Mennonites actually had snuck and watched a little TV, and they saw that there was a manhunt out for Carr, and he reported it to the police. Eventually, Claudia came clean with the investigators about her homosexuality. One of the investigators stated that they already knew, but they didn't care. They said that's not a reason for you to get shot. What you do with your own private life is what you do with your own private life. We're investigating this because it's a murder. And that's how we're seeing it. But they appreciated that she came clean with them. But there was really no reason to. But she was worried that it would be used against her later on. After weeks of recovery, Claudia was out of the hospital. 4 of her 5 shots were millimeters from being fatal wounds. Like the ones in her neck were like millimeters away from her carotid arteries. She was lucky. During the trial, Carr stated that seeing the women engaged in lesbian behavior enraged him. He said that he hated seeing women kiss and watched them kiss many times in the woods. Well, if he hated watching them kiss, why did he keep watching them kiss? His public defender tried to argue that Carr was abused sexually as a child, and that's what made him the way he is. The judge, which, I mean, this is 1988, and the judge refused to allow any psychosexual history, ruling that was irrelevant to what his behavior was for killing Rebecca. The judge also disallowed the introduction of Claudia and Rebecca's relationship in court. This forced the defense to make a deal with the prosecution. The judge was like, that's whether they're gay or not was no reason for him to shoot them. So that was pretty forward thinking of the judge for back in 1988. So the defense made a plea agreement, and on May 17th, 1989, he was sentenced to life without parole. On March 8th, 1991, Carr appealed, but the Superior Court of Pennsylvania denied it. They said, no, we're not going to listen to this. So Claudia went on to move to Ithaca, New York. She wrote a book about the incident called 8 Bullets, One Woman's Story of Surviving Anti-Gay Violence. She also became an active speaker against anti-gay violence. She also appeared in the documentary In the Hollow in 2015 about the shooting. In fall of 2015, Michael George, the defense lawyer for Carr, ran for a seat on the Superior Court of Pennsylvania. It was unsuccessful. Roy Kiefer, who was one of the prosecutors in the case, described George's conduct during the trial as a ruse in order to slander the victims. Claudia said of George that he added a lot of pain to a very traumatic and painful time in her life. 7 years after the shooting, Claudia said that she might have healed, but she will always carry the physical and mental scars of the violence. I never thought that you could be killed for being gay. I knew about taunts and harassments, and that's what I thought of when someone said anti-gay. I never thought it would happen to women. I never thought it was a matter of life and death, Claudia said about the event. My heart goes out to Claudia. I'm so sorry about your lost love. Rebecca died because of prejudice that should never have happened. The sight of naked people should not enrage a person to want to kill them. If you don't like it, look away. But also look away because it's a private moment. It's just bullshit. I don't understand this. And this was 1988 that it happened. I was in high school at this time. And I'm just sitting there thinking, going, I knew a couple of gay people then, and I didn't care. It just didn't really matter to me. I've realized that through my life, I've known gay people, and it's never mattered to me. I've always supported the lifestyle. It's like, people sit there and say, oh, they're going to force themselves on you and things like that. But never once have I had a gay man force himself on me. They joke around, but we all joke around. They'd be like, hey, I can turn you gay. But it's a joke. It's not seriousness. So I'm sorry. I just don't get the hate behind it. And, hopefully someday everyone can just see it the way I see it. You know, there's certain things I don't understand. I'm very much open that I don't understand certain things with the LGBTQ community sometimes, but I just accept it. It's not my place to judge. I'm interested to learn more, but I'm not going to judge you. So it's a safe space here. Anyhow, I could ramble for a long time, so I'm not going to. Thank you for watching. If you're not subscribed, please do so. Continue to discuss in the comments. Don't forget to buy me a coffee. Don't forget to join my community. Send me a super shout. Send me a thanks. You know, I need to be supported a little bit too. So be good to yourself. Be good to others. Love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye.